Hi everyone! So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about my worst Uber experiences ever. So every time we are in a group of friends and I tell one of my famous Uber stories, they're always like, how have you not made a video about this? Yesterday, which was my birthday, I took an Uber to dinner to meet Adam, and again, one of those crazy Uber rides, and I was telling Adam about it and he was like, okay, you really need to make this video now. So here it is. So I don't know if this is a tag, but I would love to know that I'm not the only person that has crazy Uber stories. So to help me not feel as bad about my stories, if you or anyone you know does have crazy Uber stories, do share them and share them with the hashtag worst Uber experience. All right, so I am gonna start off by saying that for maybe the last 5 years, I've probably taken at least 2 Ubers a day. So I know that I do take a lot of Ubers. So I do know that my odds of having a crazier experience probably are pretty up there. But with that being said, let's just get into the first story, which is the one that happened yesterday. So I get into the car and it smells terrible. That is one thing that I've heard a lot of people complain about, but I feel like 9 out of 10 Ubers smell. I don't know why. I don't even understand how someone's car can get to smelling like that, but it did. It literally smelled like there was maybe a body decomposing in the trunk behind me. So this guy greeted me. He was, you know, nice off the bat. About 2 minutes into the trip, he was like, oh, can I take this call? And I was like, absolutely, it's fine. And he was like, when do you want it? When do you want me to drop it off? And it totally sounded like a drug deal, but of course that I don't know what, you know, the other side of the conversation was. So at that point I was still like, whatever, doesn't matter, just get me to my destination. So he was very fidgety the entire time, and every time we would get to a red light, he would like bend over and like do something in the front seat, and I'm like, what is he trying to reach? What is he trying to do? So it made me a little bit uneasy, but again, his driving was fine, and we were kind of almost there at this point, and then we hit traffic, and it was just like stoplight after stoplight. And every time we got to a stoplight, he would like take off his seatbelt and like do something, like move around like really fidgety, and then put his seatbelt on, and then we'd take off when the light was green. And this went on for maybe about 7 or 8 lights. So then at the next light, he pulls out a tissue and he starts wiping his windshield from the inside. And his windshield looked fine, but he insisted on like scrubbing the shit out of this windshield, and I was like, what is he doing? But once again, you know, like, just let him do his thing, and he kept doing that. Then at the next light, he started doing his, like, side, like, the window that, like, goes down. And I was like, okay, that's weird, because, again, I don't see anything wrong or dirty on your windshield, so, but he kept doing that, so. Then at the next red light, he's, like, reaching over, trying to reach the other window, and I'm like, is he just like OCD about his windows? Because his like windows look fine. Like maybe worry about the stench in your car. Then we're almost there. We're like literally 2 minutes away, and maybe the last light till we reach my destination, and we come to a full stop, and he grabs like 3 or 4 tissues and hands them back to me. I'm in the back seat, obviously, and I'm just like, what is this for? And he was like, do you mind wiping the 2 back windows for me? And I was just like, no. I mean, I just like said that right away, and I was like, and then he was like, oh, okay. And he just like took the tissue back, and I was just like, what the hell? That was so weird. And again, it wasn't like scary or weird, but it was just strange. So then we finally get to my destination. I'm like, thank God I'm here. And I was like about to open my door. I was like, thank you so much. And he was like, I am so sorry if I weirded you out by that call. And I was like, right now that's not what I was thinking about, but if that's what you're sorry about, then that's probably is what I was thinking it is. So yeah, and that was, and that's like probably the least worst story that I have. This one is just like the most recent one, and I thought it was really strange, so I thought that's what I would start with. All right, story number 2. This happened about maybe 2 years ago, and this was on a drive from the airport. So I had just arrived back in San Francisco and taking an Uber home, and then I was supposed to be at the salon in like an hour after that. So kind of in a hurry, but I would never tell an Uber driver to hurry because I feel like it's not their fault and I definitely don't want them to drive crazy because I'm running late. So I get in the car and again, he was like nice. He helped me with my luggage and once we got on the freeway, he asked which route I wanted to take and I was like, I normally don't take the freeway from the airport at this time, so I don't know. And he suggested one freeway would have a lot less traffic because this was about traffic time and I was like, cool, that's great. So we get on this freeway and he was like zipping in and out of every lane and I could tell he was in a hurry. And then we finally get on the bridge and I was on my phone like trying to figure out if I was like going to be on time or if I was going to be late for the salon. So I was like trying to contact everyone and make sure that I was going to make this. And I look up and there was like a car literally felt like 4 feet away and we were going like 70 miles an hour, way faster than the speed limit, and all I could do was like hold on to the seat and of course we crashed. And then my biggest fear was like, oh my gosh, because we were like the 8th car. It ended up being like a 9-car pileup and the first thing I do was like look back to see if someone's gonna hit us. Which when I told my chiropractor that, he was like, that was like the worst thing you could have done. The best thing you can do is just to relax. But thankfully no one hit us from behind. So of course I'm in complete shock. It was a huge impact. The car was completely totaled, like you couldn't even turn it back on. And the first thing he says was, it's not my fault. And it's not my fault. And I was like, how about, are you okay? Because I mean, he like hit his like chest on the steering wheel. I mean, it was a bad impact. I was like, I couldn't even speak. My chest was hurting so bad, and I've heard of people saying that they're like sore from an accident. I had never experienced that, but I guess like the force of like the seatbelt, it was like instant chest pain, and I couldn't tell if it was like anxiety pain or it almost felt like something was broken. But I could breathe, and I was like, okay, I'm alive. I'm okay. And I asked him if he was okay and he just said, it's not my fault, it's not my fault. And I was just like, okay, like who's like accusing you right now? And so then he reaches in his glove compartment, like gets out all these papers, gets on the phone and is like calling his insurance company and asking if he can pay really quick because he's like 3 weeks overdue. And I'm like, oh great. So I'm in a car that was just in an accident with like no insurance. This is great. And with a complete stranger that didn't even ask if I was okay. So maybe 5 minutes later, the police comes and paramedics. They have to check to see if everybody in all of those cars is okay. Luckily, no one got too hurt. So when the paramedics came to us and saw that we were okay, he's like still on the phone, like on hold, trying to pay his bill. And he was just like, sorry, like this is my friend's car. I'm just talking to my friend. And so they were like, okay. And then the police comes and asks for license and registration and he's like scrambling. And then the cop asks me to get out of the car and I just told him, I was like, I'm in an Uber. I don't know this guy. He's like trying to pay for his insurance right now. I'm like late for work. I just got off a flight. Like I just want to go home. But mind you, I'm on the Bay Bridge, like literally in the middle where it connects to Treasure Island. For any of you that are from the Bay Area, you know what I'm talking about. The bridge is suspended over the bay, but then it sits kind of on Treasure Island. And it was that exit to Treasure Island that the first car hit, and that's what caused the pileup. So because all of the cars were totaled and no car was able to be turned on and drive off, we ended up needing 8 tow trucks to come and pick up one car at a time. So I was probably there for maybe about an hour and a half. Tow truck finally comes and I'm thinking, okay, finally, like tow truck is going to take the car and is going to take me home. Yeah, no. The tow truck takes you to the nearest exit, which is basically what we had just hit. So they just took us off the exit and then I'm like now on Treasure Island. And the cop was like, yeah, so you need to call another Uber or if you can call someone to come pick you up. And now because of the traffic that this had caused, I mean, even if I called someone to come pick me up, how would they get to me? So I was like, okay, this is awesome. So I have to call another Uber. Like, this is fabulous. I just got in an accident in an Uber and I have to get in a car with another stranger in order to get home. So the story gets worse. I of course, have to call an Uber because the cops are like, I can't leave you here until I see you in an Uber on your way. And so I call an Uber, the Uber's finally there. I get in the car, and instead of getting on the bridge in the correct direction, avoiding the traffic that we had just caused, gets in the opposite direction, so going back towards the airport. And then we had to make a U-turn, get back on the bridge from that traffic, sit in traffic for that, and then finally get home. When I got home, I realized that the first Uber, because of the impact and because everyone was kind of out of it, he never actually ended the trip, so my trip was still going. So I ended up getting billed for like a $250 ride. So needless to say, I ended up having to cancel my entire day, and I was sad, I was angry, I was a million emotions in one day. At least it makes for a somewhat good story now, but that was story number 2. All right, story number 3. This time I was going from home to the salon. So this car picks me up, all blacked out windows, which I guess is okay. So I get in and it reeked of weed. Now California, it is legal and I'm all for it and nothing against it, but you shouldn't be smoking while driving, nor while you're like working or servicing someone. So he was full on just smoking in his car, all windows up. So basically hotboxing the entire car. And then he like reaches to the back and is like, hey, you want some? I'm just like, no, I'm good, thank you. And I was like, should I get out? Am I gonna like get to work really high? I mean, this is not great. So I just told him I had an emergency. I asked if he could pull over and he was like, yeah, like at the next light. So we ended up going 2 more lights and then I was basically at my destination almost anyway. So, and in situations like that, like I feel like once you're out of it, in hindsight, you're like, why didn't I do this? Like, why didn't I get out? Why did I even get in the car when I got in and noticed it smelled like that? But it's so weird because I feel like as things are going, it's like, I just need to get in this Uber. I just need to get to where I'm going. And it's so strange because sometimes I feel like, especially now telling these stories, it's like, why did you get in this car? But yeah, that is the end of story number 3. And for my last story, story number 4, this ride I was actually going from work home, and it was like the end of a long day, and this is normally when I'm just want to get in the car and just want to get home and, you know, not too much chit-chatting. But he was a very talkative driver, and he asked me how my day was and like where I was coming from, and I said from work. He's like, oh, what do you do? And then of course like the lame like, oh, like what would you do with my hair, or you should cut my hair. And I was like, well, I do mainly color and I don't really do men's hair, or I don't do short hair. And he was like, oh, like I'm new in the area, like where should I go? And I was like, I don't know, I don't go out much, I'm sorry. And it's just like a million questions in this like 5-minute ride. And so I finally like get to close to my destination. I was like, oh, here's fine, this is actually great, I can get off here. And he actually passes where I had pinned my destination, keeps driving like almost a full block away now from, and I was like, oh my god, is he not stopping? And that's like when it's like, get phone out, holy shit, like let people know that I'm in an Uber in case something happens. And he just like keeps driving, and I was like, did he not hear me? So I say it really nicely again, and I was like, oh, my stop was actually back there, but I'm fine getting off right here. And he was like, no, I'm gonna go around the block. And I was like, it's totally okay, I can just get off here. And he insisted on going around the block again. Which is wrong because again, I'm paying for more time and whatever and distance. And so we finally like gets to my destination once again after going around the block another time. And we get there and I'm like trying to open the door and the door is locked, of course. And he was like, well, I hope you have a really great day. And I was like, thank you, please open the door, this is super creepy. And he turns around and he like puts his hand on my knee, and I was just like, open the fucking door. And so he unlocked the door and he was like, have a great day. And I was like, does this happen to other girls? Because this is not okay. And I feel bad for people that like do rely on Uber. I know I do, even if I take public transportation, even if I take the BART into work. The issue is I still most likely every day like need to take an Uber, and this is not okay. And I also do feel that if other people have a similar story or situation, you should definitely always let Uber know. I feel like for situations like this, I have always let Uber know. I don't think that they are very helpful or that they take these things very seriously, but I really think they should. But I think more than anything, I think what I want this video to be is to really just create a little bit more awareness for either people that don't take Uber as often, or that do. I'm just hoping that by creating a little bit more awareness around these weird issues with Uber, that hopefully one day it's a little bit more regulated. Maybe one can only hope, but I would love to hear your stories. Either leave them down below, if you share them on Instagram or on YouTube. Again, don't forget to hashtag them worst Uber experience, so that I can see them. And I thought about, like, I'm sure there's a lot of really positive stories, and I would love to hear those, obviously even more than the negative ones, but I feel like it's probably like the negative ones that need a little bit of attention right now. So that's why this isn't a tag yet, I'm starting it. So definitely don't forget to share yours if you have anything to contribute. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.